Okay, so let's talk about lenses. You have tons of lenses for every brand in the world, and it can get quite confusing. Just check out this photo. This is just all the lens for Canon SLR. It's a lot of lens and it's a lot of money. So let's first go over a bit of theory how the lens work. Basically, the lens, the notification, the numbers on the lens indicates how much do you go from wide angle to zoom, and it's calculated in millimeter. For example, we can say that this is a wide angle lens, so we would say it's a 17 or 20 millimeter lens. And as it gets bigger, like this is not the case, but it's just an example, a 50 millimeter lens, a 100 millimeter lens, a 150 millimeter lens. Basically, here you have a little glass, and further away this glass is from the chip in the camera, more zoomed in you are onto the photo. And so you have two types of lenses. You have lenses that goes from a value to another value, like for example from 17 to 40, from 40 to 70, from 70 to 200. So it's different, basically zoom factors in the lens. Let me show you an example. This is the same, I put my camera on a tripod and I just changed some lenses on it. First, I took a 17 millimeter shot. It's a wide angle shot, so the lens, the lens is only 17 millimeter away from the chip, to make it simple, and it's very wide. You can see a lot into the scene. Then I went to 40 millimeter, and now look, I'm less wide angle, I'm getting closer into the scene. And then I put another lens at 70 millimeter, and now I'm zoomed in even more. And then 100 millimeter, I'm zoomed in even further. And last but not least, at 200 millimeter, I'm really zoomed in. I can see all the details in the trees. And so that's basically all you have to know about lenses. Of course, you have different prices, and I'm going to give you some suggestions of what to buy or what not to buy. So here I'm on B&H, which is one of the biggest Photoshop in the world. You can find anything in B&H. It's in New York. And usually when you buy an SLR, you have a 17 to 55 or 17 to 50 lens, sold with your SLR. This is a wide angle to about what we'd say about a normal view type of zoom. So it's a good lens to take landscape. It's gonna can get a bit weird if you do night shots, because usually this type of lens are not very quality. But if the only thing you do is landscape, the lens you have with your camera could be enough. If you want to get a bit better on doing landscape, this is the lens I've been using for 7 years to do landscape. It's a 17 to 40 millimeter. I'm using Canon, but you have the same one probably on Nikon and Sony and all the other brand. It only opens to f4. It costs about $765, and that's the one I have been using for the last 7 years to do 90% of my landscapes. Now, if you want to really get another similar lens but even better quality, you have more money, you can buy a 16 to 35, but instead of opening at f4 as the maximum aperture, it opens at f2.8, but the price is not the same. Usually all the lenses that open at f2.8 are much more expensive. This is $1,565. The only difference I could see between the one at $765 and the one at $1,565 is that I get a more sharper image with this lens, and the corners of my photo are a bit more sharp than in the one which is around $700. So this is based on your budget. If you really are serious about landscape, two type of proposal I have for you. You have other brands, which could have similar, like Sigma or Tamron, similar values, and you can go for them. They are very good. I'm just trying to give you a basic example here. Now, if you are into portrait, this is a lens I highly suggest, and you have all the brands make this one. It's the 70 to 200 f4 lens. It costs around $679. You can even find other brands which have 70 to 200 at f4, even cheaper, for around $500. They make incredible portraits and they are not that expensive. If you have a lot of money, you can take the same version at 2.8, but then it's $2,239. And to be honest, I have tried both, and well, I don't see that much of a difference, except for the stabilization. Each of these lens have different prices. They are sold either with stabilization or without stabilization. For example, this one is at $679 without stabilization, and the same one at f4 is $1,239 with stabilization. Same thing for the 2.8. This is the one without stabilization, which is no, with stabilization, which is $2,239, and without is $1,330. Of course, if you do, like a lot of weddings in church, you probably would invest in the one at $2,000, because stabilization in 2.8 is going to give you a wider aperture, so you can take in low light situation very nice portraits. But anyway, if you I don't think I will ever buy this one. I have this one and I'm very happy with it, with the f4 version. Now, if you have very little money and you just want to have some nice photos, there is one lens which I find which is incredible for the price. It's the 50mm 1.8. It only costs $100, $104. You have it in all the brands, and you can take some really nice portrait with it. You cannot get too much close to your person, because otherwise you might get some distortion. But if you take like half-size portraits, they are perfect. They are very good also for some landscape if you have quite some space. But the fact that it opens at 1.8, you can get some really nice portraits with very narrow depths of field. It's an incredible lens for the price, $1 or $4. And if you only want to have one lens, and you don't have so much money, and you want to have like a lens that does everything, I highly suggest you buy an 18-200. This will give you anything from wide angle to portrait in one lens. It's pretty light. Of course, it doesn't open, at 18 it only opens at 3.5, and at 200 it only opens at 5.6. So you cannot shoot too much in low light situation. The photo is not as sharp as all the other lenses I showed you, but it's kind of like it's a good lens to start if you don't have much money, and you can do just about everything with that lens, 18-200. So there is much more to say on the lenses, but that was just some quick tips of a few suggestions if you are into landscape or portrait doing photography.